One of my favorite sayings is, "We'll burn that bridge when we get to it," because basically what you're saying is, you don't know what you're going to do to solve a problem, but you're pretty confident that when you get there, you're going to find a way to screw it up. That is exactly how I feel about Toronto FC's response to their defensive issues this season. They came into the season low on fullbacks, not that much depth on center back, and throughout the season now have lost Salcedo and had Mavinga basically admit that mentally he's not fully there, on top of already knowing that he has injury issues. And now the solution to this is bringing in Doneil Henry. Doneil Henry, pretty much the first Canadian that Toronto FC developed and then sent abroad, is returning to TFC 8 years after his departure at the end of 2014. Henry made 93 appearances for Toronto FC, scoring 5 goals between the 2010 and 2014 seasons. Technically, he was transferred at the end of the 2013 season to Apollon Limassol, in the Cypriot First Division, but was loaned back to TFC for the 2014 season, and following the end of that season was transferred to West Ham United in the English Premier League. Now, Henry would not make a splash in the Premier League, only making 1 appearance for West Ham in a Europa League qualifying match as a substitute, and Henry's time with West Ham was mostly spent on loan spells in the Danish Superliga and with Blackburn in the English Championship, but he was unable to get significant play time with either of those teams or stick in any lineup, and overall Doneil Henry's European adventure ended after just 3 years when his contract was terminated at the end of the 2017 season, and having made a grand total of 9 appearances for club teams in that span. Midway through the 2018 season, Doneil returned back to MLS, signing with the Vancouver Whitecaps after a brief stint on loan with the Ottawa Fury to get his conditioning back up to snuff. He actually was pretty successful in 1.5 seasons with the Whitecaps, although famously scored an own goal for TFC against the Whitecaps in the 2018 Canadian Championship final home leg for Vancouver. And following the 2019 MLS season, he was transferred to the Suwon Samsung Blue Wings in the Korean League. He spent 2 seasons in the K-League, again, was a pretty solid defender over there, came back to MLS for the beginning of this season, signing with LAFC, only made 6 appearances for LAFC this season before being waived by the team, and the second he was waived, I think we all saw exactly where this was going. Signing with Toronto FC, coming back home, it just made the most sense for him, especially considering where TFC's defense was at this season. And getting a free agent Doneil Henry, who's still a Canadian national team center back for Toronto, was a obvious option. Now, is this a good option? I don't know. He already this season has proved once with one MLS team that he's not good enough to be in MLS, and anyone who has watched the Canadian national team has seen, honestly, a very visible decline in Henry's game throughout the World Cup qualifiers, peaking in the Edmonton games when he was subbed off in the first half after picking up a yellow card against Mexico. John Herdman put him out there and then immediately was like, no, this isn't going to work, and subbed on Vitoria, who he had originally planned to rest that game because Doneil Henry just was not it against Mexico, and had he stayed on, we probably would have lost that game. Overall, Henry has made 44 appearances for the Canadian national team, 13 of them coming since the start of 2021 in this World Cup qualifying plus Gold Cup campaigns. So he is a regular for Team Canada, but he's a regular for Team Canada at our worst position. So it's a bit of a question mark whether or not he actually is still at the MLS level. Henry is a very strong physical presence when he's at the top of his game. He is just great at shutting down bigger strikers going towards him. The problem with Henry is that he is very prone to panicky moments. He's prone to making some crucial mistakes on the back end at crucial moments. See the 2018 Canadian Championship final when he headed the ball into his own net to give TFC a 2-1 lead in the 90th minute. And this is a TFC defense that already has had shaky moments this season, already has had multiple games this season where we've blown a lead or lost the game in the 90th minute plus in stoppage time. So have Doneil Henry coming into this squad. Oh boy, if you like really stressful last 10 minutes of games when we're fighting for a point or for 3 points, Doneil Henry is a great defender for you. Now, given that TFC did just spend so much money on Marc-Anthony Kaye and bringing in Bernardeschi and Insigne, we needed a cheap MLS level defender, and Doneil Henry kind of fit that bill perfectly. he's not the big improvement to our back end. He's just another guy on the back end. Maybe returning to Toronto, returning home will make him a bit more comfortable, and he'll, you know, be a little less panicky at the back. That would be ideal for TFC. But I think the biggest motivator for Henry is him getting waived by LAFC put his chances of going to the World Cup in Qatar in November in high doubt. So Doneil Henry has to step up his game if he wants to get on that World Cup squad. This is a guy who for years has pretty much been a guarantee on the Canadian national team roster, and now all of a sudden at the most important time to make that Canada national team roster, he's not a guarantee. So this is the one big hope for TFC fans for Doneil Henry for the remainder of the season is if he comes in, he knows he has to come in and be fantastic to make sure he gets on that World Cup squad. Because for Doneil Henry to get all the appearances he had, to have 13 appearances from the start of 2021, 44 total appearances to the Canadian national team and still only be 29 years of age, to have all that on his resume and then not make the final World Cup roster would just be tragically disappointing for him. But right now that seems to be the way things are trending, so he does have to step it up, and that's the only real part of this transfer that gives me a lot of hope, is that Henry has to step it up to make the World Cup team, and what better way for him to do that than with his hometown team of Toronto FC. So that is for this video. As always, if you like to hit like, if you want to see more of my stuff, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, link is down below in the description, and I will see you next time.